Switch 2 is real! Oh, we gotta wait till April. And then even later, once they decide to actually release it. Still real though. Finally, Nintendo has revealed the sequel to Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Switch 2. I mean, technically, the internet already knew that this was happening, that this was coming, but Nintendo decided to dig its heels into the ground and stubbornly feign ignorance and say, no, we don't know what you're talking about. You have no idea. You're going to be so surprised when you see it. And some people were, but I think most of the internet was like, we've known that since maybe November. A good console reveal is never late, nor is it early. It arrives precisely when it means to. That's my one Lord of the Rings reference for this video. Okay, so now that the Switch 2 has been officially unveiled, is this a sequel that I was hoping for? Well, that remains to be seen. It really just depends on what games actually come to the thing. But at the very least, I'm optimistic at what we've seen so far. So I like the form factor of the Switch 2. You know, they've kind of changed it in some ways, just minor changes, making the screen bigger, the bezel not as big, although I think the OLED did that as well. The Joy-Con are certainly designed differently, not just the fact that they have the magnetic sticky things, or I guess we're assuming it's magnetic, but by the leaks and the way it clicks. But yeah, there's some interesting changes. Having the two USB ports, one on the top and one on the bottom, I think that can make it easier for people to play in handheld or tabletop mode and they need to charge the system. That could also lead to some more accessories being made for the Switch that can connect on the top or on the bottom. I'm not exactly sure what developers will do, but could be neat to see. It's kind of funny to me how the Switch went from kind of the darker theme, not saying it was dark and edgy, but it had the gray Switch look to it, like a darker color look to it. And then the OLED eventually went to white. Like white was the main color for the next Switch. But now we're going back. We're taking the white and we're painting it black. Well, I guess we're taking the blue and red and painting it black, but you know what I mean. I see a red Joy-Con and I want to paint it black. I like the new color scheme, having only a little bit of color, although there was something charming about the original Switch and all the Joy-Con different colors you can have, but I did kind of get tired of it after a while and only collected the really exclusive special edition Joy-Con. And I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo went back to doing that anyway. So really, I think it's just a formality or just a way to differentiate between the two Joy-Con. But we'll see. We'll see what Nintendo has planned. At the very least, I think it's a slick design. Honestly, probably the most intriguing part of this whole Direct, besides the game they showed, was the Joy-Con themselves. The rumor going around right now is that they can activate like a mouse, a computer mouse. And it seemed when they were sliding around on the ground in the reveal trailer, it seemed like that's what they were teasing. Hard to say for sure. Maybe some other people will be like, oh, this is a hardened fact that it's going to be a mouse. Like clearly they're stating that. And I think you can justify by just looking at the trailer that maybe that's what they're hinting at. But I'll wait until April 2nd to let them say it and confirm it. But that could be an interesting new aspect for this sequel. I just don't know really in what cases you would be using it. Could you in one hand have the Joy-Con stick for a shooting game and then the mouse, so you're moving your character to the Joy-Con and then you're aiming with the mouse? I don't know. Maybe you could work it like that. I mean, Splatoon would be changed forever if people had the ability to aim with a mouse and move around with the Joy-Con, or vice versa. Maybe you have the Joy-Con in the left hand, that's the mouse, and if you're right-handed, the Joy-Con on the right, and you can move, you can press buttons, inputs, and things like that. Although I feel like there's enough buttons now on this Joy-Con that you'd probably be able to press all sorts of commands on whichever you decide to be the mouse and have it work. So either way, that was just one idea I thought of. Point and click adventures. I don't know why you would just make a feature for a point and click adventure, but that could be something. There was another thing that people were mentioning. Oh, RTS games where you use a mouse to click exactly where you want your troops to go or your building to be built. But the thing about that is, I just don't know if it's any better than just using the cursor just to move over to that spot instead of using a mouse. Maybe there's some advantage to it. Maybe there's something that I'm not even noticing that this could be used for. I'm hoping Nintendo releases some sort of, well, it's probably no Nintendo, maybe like full game, but some sort of mini game collection that demonstrates, maybe not even collection, just a mini game of some sort that demonstrates how the mouse can be used in interesting ways. At this point, it just kind of feels like a gimmick, just something to get people talking and, you know, something to make it different from the base Switch, but we'll see. Aside from the mouse potential capabilities, there are new buttons on the Joy-Con, or at least 3 buttons from what I can see. You have on the right Joy-Con, there below the home button, you have another capture button, and I assume that it just lets you take a picture with the right Joy-Con as well as the left. That's what I'm assuming. I doubt there's really anything more to it than that, but I guess we'll see. Why they would have 2 buttons, I think if you're sharing Joy-Con, only having one player who can take a screenshot, maybe that was not ideal for some people, so they decided to put one on the other Joy-Con. I don't know. And then on the back, there's a different trigger besides the LR and ZL and ZR. So I don't know if they have a name for that trigger yet, or if they've shown it. Maybe there is. Maybe if you go deep into the trailer, you'll find a name for it. But interested to see in what applications that will be. I could see it being useful for a mouse, you know. Just having extra button inputs for a mouse would be nice. Yeah, I guess I'm just excited to see how it all comes together as one package. Because right now it looks nice, but seems a little gimmicky with that new Joy-Con feature. But maybe it's more stable as a whole. I guess we'll see. Real quick about the name. Switch 2, or Nintendo Switch 2, is, you know, pretty easy naming mechanic. Just put a 2 in front of it, call it good. Nintendo hasn't really done that too much in the past, although I also don't think it's strange for them. I mean, they went from Nintendo 3DS to Nintendo 2DS, also new Nintendo 3DS. I mean, you know, they've switched up their naming mechanic for a while now. And maybe it's a little boring just to slap a 2 on there, but I think it makes sense. With how well the Nintendo Switch has been doing, and it being the most successful Nintendo console to date, why not keep the naming mechanic and not make it too complicated? I think when you put a 2 on there, people are trained at this point to realize, okay, this is different than the first one. Whereas with the Wii to the Wii U, there was still confusion on, wait, isn't this just an extension of the Wii, or is this just an add-on? Is this even a sequel? Of course, there's other reasons why the Wii U failed. And maybe we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I think Nintendo made the right choice by just doing the 2. It may not be my first choice. I would love for them to go Super Nintendo Switch, or I don't know. Maybe we're done with Super moniker. But still, it would have been fun to have a really unique name to go with the console. But at the end of the day, it is just another Switch, albeit one that is seemingly more powerful and bigger, and black. So Nintendo Switch 2, I think, is a fitting name for the console. People will get used to it. They'll get used to it. But I do have some worries. I'm not completely optimistic about the system quite yet. For starters, how much does it weigh? I don't think it's going to weigh as much as a Steam Deck, but with the bigger screen and potentially more power, you're getting to a point where is this going to be just too difficult to hold up while in bed or just on a train or something like that. I mean, I think an adult will be fine, although maybe your arms will get more tired. People use the Steam Deck all the time, so it seems to be not enough of an issue for people to stop playing them. But I think the biggest thing for me is kids playing the Switch 2. Will it be too heavy for them to hold for a good amount of time? I mean, 5-10 minutes, okay, but you know, if you want to play a game, you're playing like 30 minutes to an hour. At least that's what we're telling your mom, right? And if it's too heavy for the kid to hold, then you might as well just play on the TV. It's a little bit of a minor gripe, but I think that's something that Nintendo probably is aware of, not making the console too heavy. And that goes into price. Going into all the discussion, all the leaks, I was concerned that based on Sony's kind of pricing and how just tech companies are really hiking up the prices, I was worried that they would potentially go up to $500. If I'm being honest, $400 is what I was hoping for. $450 was more of the optimistic outlook, or like the in-between, I should say. So I thought it was gonna be $450. Based on the leaks, it seems like it could be $400 or $399. Although I take those with a grain of salt, we really don't know yet. We should wait until Nintendo themselves announces it. But if it is $399, that's a win. I mean, yes, it's more expensive than the OLED and the base Nintendo Switch, but it's been a few years, prices have gone up, and it's supposed to be a more powerful console, so it makes sense that it'd be a little bit more expensive. I expected $100 more than the OLED, but it's only gonna be $50 more, supposedly. That would be a huge win, in my opinion, and kudos to Nintendo for being able to keep the price down, if that's the case. But again, that's all speculation, so I don't know why I'm even bringing it up here, but that's a worry that the rumors say 400, but what if April 2nd comes along, we watch Direct, and it's $500? That would be a huge blow, I think. Oof, man, that'd be rough. Power, I mean, for me, as long as the games look good and run well, and when I say look good, I mean have a good art style and don't glitch all over the place, I'm looking at you, Pokemon, then it's not a huge deal for me. And to be honest, I prefer a well-made, well-designed game versus one that looks realistic and I can see my reflection in the water. Like, those kind of things don't matter to me. What matters is a well-made, memorable game that Nintendo does frequently, but particularly with the Switch. They did a great job with just bringing out incredible games. And, you know, yes, there were times where power was an issue. It was a slog at times. Not all the time, but sometimes, particularly towards the end. However, there's for sure going to be more power in the system, and if it's just enough to be PS4 Pro levels, I'm happy with that. I mean, PS4 Pro would be a dream come true. I think that's remarkable. Really, the only difference between, say, a PS4 Pro and PS5, besides some upscaling, of course there will be, is the loading times. Now, loading times, I will admit, have not been great on the Switch as of late, depending on the developer. But if the rumors are true and this Switch is actually just as powerful as a PS4 nearing PS4 Pro, I think that's a huge win. But we have to wait and see. The game that we saw, this new Mario Kart, talk about in a sec, it looked like it ran pretty well. It's hard to say just based on this teaser trailer exactly, but you know, I'm optimistic that it's going to be a pretty good looking system. As with any new handheld system, I'm going to be a bit apprehensive about the structural integrity of it. You know, will it be able to handle being carried around everywhere? Will any of these new Joy-Con pieces or the stand, are they going to be up to snuff? You know, you just wonder, is that going to perform like it should? I mean, people still have PTSD with the Joy-Con drift. Is that going to carry on? Look, based on the design, it seems that maybe they've tried to address that in this new Joy-Con just by its form factor, but I don't know, I could be wrong. We'll see. They've had plenty of time to research into it, so I'm hoping that it's a thing of the past, but or at least not as prevalent. And then of course there's software. No matter how you slice it, even if this is a technical marvel, if you don't have the games to play, it's not going to sell. If you don't have the Mario, if you don't have the, well, nowadays, if you don't have the Zelda, it's not going to be a success. No matter how many fanboys may try to force it to be. You need games. You need good games. And I feel that with this delay that we've had, I think it's for sure it was delayed from when they originally wanted to reveal it and maybe even release it. They delayed it either because they wanted to make sure they could make enough to meet demand, or they wanted to make sure some games were ready for launch and that it didn't just launch with one or two games or kind of nothing games. It's kind of what happened with Wii U. Yeah, there was new Super Mario Brothers U or something like that, but there was no saving the Wii U. Poor thing. There's a whole debate to be had with the Wii U. Point is, they needed to make sure they had titles, and I think that's why they delayed it. My opinion, we're getting a new Mario Kart. I mean, that was confirmed, but I've been saying this for a while. We're getting a new Mario Kart. That's an easy one to predict. Getting a new Mario game, 3D Mario game. I think it's time. And this year would be a perfect time to do it. Well, maybe it wouldn't be 2025. I could see them pushing it to 2026. But within the initial year of release, I could see them being a new Mario game, a new Smash game, whether it be a port or a new game, and then we have Metroid Prime 4 coming as well. So there's some titles that we can look forward to. I would love a new Zelda game, but I'm just not sure if we're going to get that quite yet, or even announced. I could see them teasing a new Zelda game, maybe later in the fall or something like that. I just don't think they're going to show it off quite yet. Fire Emblem. I think Fire Emblem could be ready. Honestly, they could be holding Fire Emblem back because they wanted to bring it on with the Switch 2. Fire Emblem's kind of been quiet since Engage released. So yes, if they come out with the Switch 2 and there's only a couple titles, that'll be worrisome. Because remember, Wii U had Mario Kart 8, not at release, I don't think. Yeah, don't think it was at release. But, not even Mario Kart 8 could save the Wii U, although it tried with all its might. Then you have the Switch, and that had Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on it. It was either at release or pretty close to release, along with Zelda Breath of the Wild. So, your initial software lineup is key to get to a good start, in my opinion. So along with all this, we also got our first look at Mario Kart, whether that be Mario Kart 9 or some other new name that we're just not aware of yet. Who knows? But we have now seen the next Mario Kart. We've been playing Mario Kart 8. Was it 2013 that released? So we've been playing Mario Kart 8 for 12-ish years. It's almost surreal to have a new one. The art style is just so different. I mean, look at Donkey Kong. I mean, it's like they ripped him straight out of the Mario movie. Well, I guess it's technically supposed to be a more classic retro type design for what Donkey Kong used to look like. I guess you could argue Donkey Kong is just going back to his roots. But he looks so super different. Super different. So you got to get used to that new art style. But besides that, it looks like, good old Mario Kart. This new desert-like area kind of reminds me of Cars, to be honest. I wonder if they're taking a page from Pixar's book there. Just looking at the characters, thank goodness there is Rosalina. I was worried maybe they would keep her out because, when was the last time we had a Mario Galaxy game? But at this point, she's one of the few female representation that they have, so of course they wouldn't get rid of Rosalina. People love Rosalina. I did see Pauline in this. And then people said they saw Goomba and Toadette in it as well, so I don't know, it's fun. I can't wait to dive into this new Mario Kart game. Get my butt kicked by players much better than me. But honestly, it looks really good. It reminds me of when they revealed the Switch initially, and they had a little bit of a teaser for Mario Odyssey, along with Breath of the Wild, of course. But there was a bit of Odyssey in there too. This is the Switch 2's Odyssey. So anyway, that's really all I got about this Nintendo Switch 2. I still believe the success of the Switch 2 will depend on the software lineup Nintendo has planned. So all we can do now is just wait patiently for the Direct in April. But first, go play Xenoblade Chronicles X. It's coming out in March. You will not regret it. I mean, maybe if you don't like JRPGs, you will. But I guarantee you'll have a good time. It's a great world. Highly recommend. Elma is great. Please give that game some love. It deserves it. And then we can finally put the Wii U to bed. I was really dogging on the Wii U this entire time. I'm so sorry, Wii U. Next video coming up should be my Game of the Year video. I know we're in January. I know we're in the new year, but this happens every year where I just get caught up in things and have to push back the video until January, late January at that. But I am working on it and hope to have that out before the month ends. So please look forward to that. And also let me know your thoughts and comments on this new console reveal. And we'll see you next time, whenever that is. See ya.